is Moninda, and I'm actually here to talk to you on the most pertinent issues that are affecting us as human beings. In this case, I'd like us to talk about human trafficking because I realize a number of people do not quite understand what human trafficking is all about. In my run across the United States of America, I ran through Connecticut and I did a couple of interviews here and there, and I interviewed close to 12 people. And out of the 12 people, I was so surprised that 9 of the 12 people do not really know what human trafficking is. Be it in terms of a definition or understanding what human trafficking is altogether. And one thing that came up was that anytime that you could mention the name human trafficking, people could always think about sex trafficking, and that's the much they know about human trafficking. And 9 out of 12 people that I talked to in the state of Connecticut tend to think that for you to be trafficked, you must have been kidnapped. This is a fallacy. The remaining 3 people knew somehow what human trafficking is. However, they thought that human trafficking only involves young girls, women, and that is it. They are not aware about labor trafficking that involves men and boys. Now, today I'm here to talk to you about 3 most important questions that you need to know in relation to human trafficking. The first question is, what is human trafficking? The second question is, how can I identify, or how can you identify a victim of human trafficking? And the third pertinent question here is, how can you help a victim of human trafficking? Now, what is human trafficking? Human trafficking is a modern day slavery which involves illegal trade of people for exploitation and commercial gain. Now, oftentimes, traffickers tend to use force, they tend to use coercion, and they use fraud to lure their victims into forced labor or commercial sexual exploitation. Now, this is a multi-international, a multi-billion dollar industry. And according to the International Labour Organization, currently, we have up to 21 million people who are in slavery. And 11.4 out of these are women and girls. 9.5 are men and boys. Now, before I go deeper into the subject, I could like also to dispel a couple of myths that usually are associated with human trafficking. Myth number 1 I could like to dispel is that trafficking often involves immigrants. This can be very far from the truth. That US citizens, foreign nationals, women, men and children, boys and girls, name them, they can become human trafficking victims. And the common type of labor trafficking we have in the country of US include domestic servitude and farm workers who are oftentimes coerced, or factory workers who are kept under inhuman conditions. Now, it's also good to understand that human trafficking oftentimes flourishes where the law is weak and the political goodwill is compromised. According to National Human Trafficking Resource Center, the Trafficking Victim Protection 2000 Act, which actually was later reauthorized through Trafficking Victim Protection Act 2003, 2005, 2008, and 2013, gives a comprehensive federal law that provides a 3-pronged approach that include prevention, protection, and prosecution of those people involved in human trafficking. I could urge you to take a responsibility and read all through this so that you can be able to understand on how you can be able to be of help to victims of human trafficking. Now, question number 2. How can you identify a victim of human trafficking? Precisely, I'm going to give you the red flags according to the Polaris and according to the U.S. State of Justice. These are some of the red flags that you need to know. 1, if someone lives with their employer, that's red flag number 1. If someone lives in a cramped space where so many people are living, apparently, like in my case where I was living, we were living so many people in the room, not jeopardizing the victim's safety because of the times, and because most of these traffickers usually they are under watch from their masters. These are some of the questions that probably would be of great importance that you need to ask them. Ask them, like, precisely, can you be able to leave a job, your job, if you want to? That's question number 1. Question number 2 could be, have you ever been hurt, threatened, and any time that you ever tried to leave your employer? Another question could be, are you in debt to your employer? And probably you might ask another question, where do you sleep? And what the situation where you are in terms of food and all that? Do you have your identification with you? Or who has them? So those are some of the questions that probably you might need to ask given an opportunity. But make sure to observe the security of the person who is the victim. Now, the last question that I want to address, what can you do to help the victim of human trafficking? Now, first and foremost, we consume a number of things that we are not even aware how they are manufactured and what is the labor like involved. So, number 1, you need to take a responsibility as a person and be an informed consumer, and by asking questions, look into the supply chain of each and everything that you buy if you at all care about people, your brothers and sisters. Ask questions if there is any forced labor in any product that you buy, and also you can call the National Human Trafficking Hotline, which is 888-3737-888. There are so many ways that you can be of great help to this, to help out. And the third thing that probably you might do is to advocate for safe harbor and labor laws in your country, and make sure that you champion that. And also, you can support or volunteer in non-profit organizations that support anti-trafficking around where you live. So, you have a role to play. Our brothers and sisters are suffering out there. I was a victim. Fortunately, I was not harassed in terms of physically, I was not abused. There are so many people who have been physically, psychologically abused, and they are living in fear throughout their life. And so, you know, it's good also to take note that human traffickers, they have the sweetest of all the tongues that you can ever find. So it's very important that you take into consideration that where you're living, the kind of people that you live around, you need to know what kind of people that you live around. And whenever you are out, whenever you leave your kids at home, who do they associate themselves with? These are very important things to look into so as to be able to prevent modern day slavery. Thank you so much. Hope that one helps, and hope that answers a number of your questions that probably you could be having for the human trafficking. Thank you.